Hello, it is my great honor to present Riverbank's State of the City Address. There has been many notable activities, many successes, and some controversy. Thanks to all who participate in the many different aspects of our city, from authority members, planning commissioners, to fire board directors, and the many other organizations that help develop policies that protect Riverbank's interests. I commend our Stanislaus County Fire Department, who in the past were the center of activities for this city, and today provide superb service for this region. We look forward to a renewal of our planning process for our combined future. Our legal team of Doug White, of Churchwell White, and all the other contractors that are well respected throughout the region and are integral to the city's well-being. We have a fantastic group of nonprofits and faith-based community religious leaders, our Riverbank Unified School District, and the community service organizations augment many of the city's functions. I wish to thank the dedicated city employees for their excellent work in providing the best in municipal services while maintaining a superb level of customer service. We all have one cause, the betterment of our great city. I applaud and thank you all. The drought is over, but I would not get too comfortable. It continues during this current year. I cannot predict what the drier months will bring, but we are currently less than 25% of normal rainfall for this year. Since the end of 2012, our efforts to conserve water continue to be successful. The state set Riverbank's goal to reduce average water consumption by 20% of our 2010 Urban Water Management Plan. In 2016, we exceeded the state-mandated goals and were at 28% conservancy. We are still below our 2010 plan, but we increased consumption by 18% overall last year. Last year, you may remember, we had a tremendous rainfall year. Our Public Works Director, Michael Rydell, is pushing hard in the conservation and the delivery of water. The city goal to be at 38% below our 2010 plan by the end of 2020. To meet our goals of water reduction, I ask home and property owners to look at drip irrigation systems and other water conservation methods. We have installed smart meters throughout the city, and residents will be able to view their daily usage very soon. We are restoring sections of neglect to fully operational systems. The federal government, specifically the U.S. EPA, has instituted MS4, which is the elimination of pollutants from our water by stormwater runoff. All stormwater must be captured and treated prior to discharge in our waterways. As new development matures, we are building a regional stormwater storage system which will take most of the stormwater runoff and recharge our aquifer. Our vision is to have a total system that can transfer water from one area to another while using additional lateral drainage system to augment our basin's capacities. The bottom line is we will continue to conserve our water resources as we continue to develop the required housing needs. We will find the way to capture all wastewater and treat it to be reintroduced to the aquifer or transfer it for agricultural use. With all the reuse of water, stormwater capture, we will be replenishing the aquifer with more water than we use. Director Rydell is applying for grants from both federal and state agencies and is in constant communication with the State Water Board. After years of work, we are finally at the precipice of project consideration of the Crossroads West. This includes environmental impact report circulation, public hearings in Riverbank, and if approved, a request to LAFCO for annexation. Crossroads West will essentially double our retail in the shopping center, offering complementary, not competitive shopping to the existing retail businesses. We also plan for homes and condominiums. Our plans manager, Donna Kinney, and our contract planner, John Anderson, are solving issues and are actively involved with our future annexation strategies, transportation issues, and complete streets. They have put in years of work on this project and are moving this and many more projects forwards. The apartments on Claus Road are completed, and they are fully rented. There is a large waiting list for affordable housing that needs to be met. We as a council must address this need and provide an acceptable solution. During our planning for the future, Riverbank and Modesto had a combined council meeting at the community center. The discussion was to plan together in cooperation and support each other in meeting each city's needs. Transportation needs and business development were discussed, and future discussion will prepare both cities for the next phase. I commend Mayor Brandvold and Modesto City Council for a first in city cooperation and participation. The east side of Riverbank is being developed with new housing for the first-time buyers. This is the first single-family residential development in many years on the east side of town. The housing is of high quality and will meet some of our housing demands. The builder is selling the homes faster than he can build. Clearly, housing needs are here. Our roads are better than in most communities, mainly because our community development manager, Kathleen Cleek, has been tenacious in obtaining grants and other people's money for projects. She and our city engineer, Bill Cole, and traffic management expert, Ken Anderson, work closely with Caltrans director, Mr. Dennis Agar, on safety concerns along State Route 108 and the North County Corridor. Mr. Agar and his staff continue to be accessible in all aspects of our transportation concerns. Ms. Cleek has been instrumental in securing plans and agreements to construct a new crossing on State Route 108 near St. Francis of Rome. She is in the engineering phase now, with construction to follow shortly. During this last year, she has preserved 43 roads, received grants for bike and pedestrian paths, built bike paths. She is forming partnerships with our schools, religious leaders, and business leaders, and receiving free technical assistance to apply for grants for additional safe routes to school. I commend her on her tenacity and endurance. After years of frustration in the on-again, off-again transfer of property from the Army Corps of Engineers to the City of Riverbank, I personally asked Congressman Jeff Denham to intercede. Congressman Denham agreed, and in less than 2 weeks of my request, he met with the decision makers from the Office of the Secretary of the Army. On October 17, 2017, the U.S. Army and the City of Riverbank signed the deeds for the first transfer of property from the military to local control. The city received the property at no cost, with the proviso that all revenues gained from the property will be reinvested into the industrial complex for economic development. This is a big deal, and I am pleased to move forward in this process. The deed signing ceremony was a community highlight and was attended by dignitaries from the Office of the Secretary of the Army Corps of Engineers, and Congressman Jeff Denham. On a personal note, I want to thank Congressman Denham, who was the catalyst between the City of Riverbank and the U.S. Army in information exchange, setting milestones, and establishing the end date that brought us to our first transfer. Secretary Kramer provided the initiative and incentive to move this project forward. I can say unconditionally that we would not be here without the support, direction, and leadership from Congressman Denham and Secretary Kramer. Secretary Kramer stated, "The Riverbank project is exemplary and one of the most successful examples of how to accomplish economic recovery with base reuse." The timing of the remaining property to be transferred will be difficult to gauge. All of the necessary legal paperwork is expected to be completed by mid-spring. The transfer of the final parcel of property will require concurrence and the signature of Governor Brown. We expect this to be closed by June. The city will take possession of the property after the deed is signed. At that time, all operations and debt will be the city's responsibility. The city released a request for proposal for a master developer and is in the process of selecting the right community partner to take the Riverbank Industrial Complex to the next level. The selection of a master developer will be teamed with at least one and likely many more large companies interested in building plants and industrial facilities at the Riverbank Industrial Complex that will employ many of our residents. It is imperative that we take possession of the industrial complex soon. The transfer of property is being orchestrated by LRA Director Debbie Olson, who has successfully managed the industrial complex for the last 8 years and has built an annual budget of $21 million and a reserve for capital improvements. In 2017, Riverbank enjoyed reduced crime numbers overall, with the most significant reduction being in auto theft. This reduction came after a targeted enforcement effort to reduce auto theft numbers in the city. The only crime category that is up from 2016 is robbery. Although our robbery frequency is up slightly, robberies, when they do occur, are dealt with swiftly. Our police have a high clearance arrest rate of 52%. The national average clearance rate for robbery is 29%. If you do a robbery in Riverbank, odds are you will get caught. The Riverbank Police Services increased arrests by 38% in 2017 to a total of 594. These increases in part are due to warrant arrests. Riverbank will not be a harbor for criminals whether they committed a crime in Riverbank or elsewhere. We have an industry in Riverbank that uses much of our police services without contributing to our society. This industry has contributed greatly to a 7% increase in police calls and nearly a 24% increase in arrests from 2016. Illegal drugs affect all areas of Riverbank and all social economic groups. 37%, or 144 of the arrests in 2017 were drug-related, and marijuana is not included in these statistics. Based on a 2015 National Institute of Health survey of this region, shows that there are between 3,800 and 4,700 Riverbank residents using marijuana, some daily, others not as frequently. The passage of Proposition 64 complicated the landscape for the law enforcement and made it difficult to formulate a strategy. At first, the City Council wanted to do the minimum to comply. The county proposed a cannabis sales tax sharing agreement that would share tax revenues between cities with dispensaries and the county based on population. For example, if Riverbank had a dispensary that generated $1 million in tax revenue, Riverbank would receive approximately $50,000. That did not seem fair, so we decided to go on our own and explore every aspect of the proposition. We held workshops, study sessions, public hearings, and came up with a strategy that would provide safety and security for the city. While we do not condone the use of marijuana, it is widely used, and we looked for what is the best way to protect all of our citizens. Under Proposition 64, every household can grow marijuana plants, 6 marijuana plants at a time, or approximately 24 plants a year. Since we cannot stop the private grows in a home, Prop 64 allowed for reasonable regulation from both local governments. We regulated the growth procedures that are stipulated under Proposition 64 and modified by law to ensure safety and security for the grower, the property owner, and other occupants, especially those underage. Still, any home can grow marijuana, and they must be responsible for their harvest. At the time we were exploring how to proceed, there were no authorized dispensaries in Stanislaus County. 0. Yet, 24 dispensaries were in operation and in plain sight. In September, the City Council approved an ordinance allowing dispensaries, and we've had interest from dozens of potential applicants. 2 were given licenses to sell cannabis. Some area residents do not want dispensaries because it sends the wrong message to our community, our young people, and our moral values. Many want this City Council to do nothing. They fear dispensaries will sell to underage. We get your concerns. Let's face facts. 2015 National Institute of Health survey shows that 14 to 20% of Riverbank are using. It is in our homes, our schools, and on our streets. And still, you want us to do nothing. The dealers will sell to anyone. Dispensaries will not. So why are we approving dispensaries? We want to manage the issue, not be managed by it without resources. Marijuana, even though it is now legal, is the bulk of illegal drug industry, along with other drugs being sold to lesser number of people. During our research, we visited many legitimate dispensaries, and they knew where illegal operations were ongoing. The council believes that by not having dispensary, illegal distribution of marijuana will continue at its current level and may intensify. It will continue to infest our community. In fact, without legal competition, the distribution will become more aggressive and possibly deadly. Legal dispensaries will cut into the black market share. We don't know how the dealers will adjust, but a recent cartel brutal killing of 2 growers outside of Riverbank on Clarabelle should give us warning. Operators of legal dispensaries will protect their profits and will know if illegal dispensaries and operations are ongoing. Riverbank Police Services will respond to eliminate the illegal operations in our city. Plus, legal dispensaries must abide by California law. By the end of 2018, every product sold at legal dispensaries will be traceable to the dispensary that sold the product. The products will be clear of contaminants, such as pesticides and herbicides. We want to provide a safer atmosphere for those who purchase than having the dealers be their contact. We also believe dispensaries will generate enough revenues for the city to hire additional police officers. We explored commercial grow operations and decided that indoor commercial grows could entice illegal growers from our surrounding areas to join in the commercial arena and become legitimate. A company is cooperating and offering spaces for this purpose. The former Contadina plant has been discussed as a potential site. This could mean additional revenues that will generate security enhancements by allowing the city to hire all the police officers required, code enforcement, and other security programs, including school liaison officers. So the industry that takes from our society will be providing funds that will help Riverbank secure and be sustainable. We fully understand the black market will continue to operate, but over time their activities will diminish or change. It will not go away, but we want to put a dent into their operations and make them look elsewhere. We also understand the problem with drug use. In Riverbank, every dispensary and commercial grow will be continually scrutinized and monitored. Their operations can be shut down for any infraction. No other business could lose so much for so little. The city received a request to become a sanctuary city. We held a workshop and had open discussions on this request. Through our discussions, there were indications that the fears some have were unfounded and based on hearsay. The fear is real, and we must alleviate these fears. Sheriff Adam Christensen provided facts about the Sheriff's Department and relationships with federal agencies. The recent state legislative actions making California a sanctuary state negated necessity to proceed. But rest assured, the city of Riverbank will not ask for documentation for citizen status. Our neighbors and friends can live without fear because no member of our community will be targeted in the city of Riverbank. We support any effort to secure a path to citizenship for all our residents. Last year, during the mayor's annual meeting with nonprofits, religious leaders, and civic groups, we developed a plan of action and addressed the need to assist the homeless and the issue of homelessness. The city was successful in that our liaison with the county Health and Human Services providing much needed assistance to the homeless with the county mobile services. The homeless and homelessness are being addressed by this community. The county's responsiveness and our group identified activities that can help the homeless on an institutional and individual level. Earlier this year, this brain trust again came together and formulated a utilities assistance plan that provides services and or fund to those residents in need. Education and counseling will be provided to help in managing debt. Next month, we will be addressing additional homeless issues and finding solutions, especially those for families who live with relatives and friends without a home of their own. In 2013, our financial outlook was bleak. We conducted our first financial review, which showed our reserves were projected to be lower than 3% at the start of 2018 and negative by 2019. Through cost saving, careful use of our discretionary funds, and stronger than expected sales tax revenue, we are projecting a more robust reserve, but still at a structural deficit of $161,000. I must point out we are lacking 6 to 7 police officers, code enforcement officer, community development officer, as well as others. However, I also would like our employees to know that we appreciate their partnership during negotiations, which has contributed greatly in the city's sustainability. We know it has been difficult, and we thank you. We conducted our annual financial review where we looked at the next 5 years, identifying our revenue sources and obligations. We analyzed the threats to our income as well as our opportunities to increase revenue streams. Without increasing revenues, we will be constrained in our ability to expand services. Retirement costs will continue to increase significantly in the upcoming years. We are currently paying approximately $300,000 in unfunded liabilities to CalPERS, and their recent investments are reported to be less successful than anticipated, which may, again, lower our discount rate to below 7%, meaning an additional increase in contributions. CalPERS just announced that the unfunded liabilities amortization debt payback timeline is being reduced from 30 to 20 years, putting a much greater burden on all cities. A large percentage of the general fund is used for salaries, benefits, and obligations. The city reserve is the remaining funds available after obligations and is designated towards emergencies and one-time strategic expenditures. It is time to have a realistic reserve in which the city can react aggressively in a time of emergency and given anticipated deficits in the future fiscal years, especially during a recession. Part of the discussion with this council will include a decision on capital expenditures and alternative funding possibilities. There is a property tax sharing agreement with the county that places the city's general fund at risk of not being able to provide essential municipal services. When a property is annexed to the city, the county will keep the current tax property baseline. The improvements to the annexed property are then assessed a tax value. Special districts and schools receive approximately 80% above the baseline tax value. The remaining tax revenue is split about 13.4% county and 6.6% city. Let's assume the baseline tax is $100. So if you pay $2,100 in property assessment, the city will receive $132 to provide municipal and police services, repair streets and roads, provide for parks and recreation programs, salaries, and so on. The county will receive $628 plus the baseline tax. While the county needs to provide for services countywide, the city has more of the burden than proportioned. We are currently discussing with the county for a more equitable tax sharing solution, one that will not burden the county, but a slightly better arrangement that can help the city remain sustainable. The county also has a public facilities fees which the county assesses on new construction or expansion of existing structures. These fees can increase the cost of a new home by almost $8,000. Developer or homeowners must pay these fees up front. We are asking to pay these fees later in the process, close to or at occupancy of the building. Similar requests are being made for ag land mitigation policy and Swainson hawk habitat mitigation. As we move forward in other parts of the city, we must look inward and revitalize our downtown. We must remove barriers so businesses and residents can flourish. We must place our citizens first and develop a culture to enhance this concept. For the downtown, specifically in the downtown specific planned area, we must develop a toolkit so an entrepreneur will know which steps must be taken when opening a business. For new businesses in the downtown, I propose zero business-related fees, no business license fee for at least the first year. I request zero impact fees and a timely process for all inspections. I do expect cooperation from business community to assist the new business to thrive through the networking and checking up on the new business needs. Businesses should assist in training our city employees so we can be responsive to their needs. We as a city should come up with a shared parking concept that facilitates opening new businesses downtown. Build a yes culture, not only downtown, but throughout this great city. I believe if we start a program like this, the waived fees will be offset by tax revenues generated by the new businesses. The same old strategy has not worked. We have a fantastic group of dedicated employees. During the last 6 years or so, there has been little in compensation increase, and although they are on par with other comparable employees in other cities, we will be eager for the next round of negotiations. I have pointed out what we're doing with great pride. There are areas that still need attention, work, and yes, money. The community center needs updating long ago, but there is no funding to do so. Our staff, namely Park and Rec Director Sue Fitzpatrick, has been looking for other people money. She recently received a $352,000 grant to renovate the community pool locker rooms. She is looking for more. Jacob Myers Park is a jewel to this region, but is outside not only the city limits, but the county. On Sue's recommendation, an increase in fees during the busiest time of the year provided increase in park operations and maintenance funds and saved $48,000 from the general fund. We're also looking at a small portion of public facilities fees from our own development to improve Jacob Myers Park. She is close to securing funds for the improvement of some of these projects, and we have plans for the improvement of the remaining. Ladies and gentlemen, our city is much better off than when I first gave this address. It improves greatly each year. And only one way is the state of the city poorer, and that is because we lost some of Riverbank's best friends and supporters. There have been great strides in retail addition, housing improvements, cooperation with other government agencies, and much richer in our community events. The state of our city is strong because of our collective desire to make it better and the commitment to work towards that end. To keep the city strong, this city council is always looking to the future and evaluate what we must do today. With your help and input, we will continue to be strong. 2018 will be a great year. Thank you. May God bless us all.